Hello, it is a new episode of the Sprint Right Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini. As you know, I like to try and introduce Jason in fun ways, and this is how my brain's doing it today. I am introducing a man that if he left me for another podcast, I would 100% sing a cover of Good For You by Olivia Rodrigo. Jason Aponte, how are you doing today, Jason?
I feel like a boomer because I know of this Olivia Rodrigo that you speak of, and she's very popular, apparently.
Very popular.
I've just never heard the song, but I am going to trust you because I do think that it kind of lands. And also, I feel it in my heart. Honestly, I feel the love.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
It's an album I've listened to a depressing amount of time. I'm not even going to go into it.
What's depressing about how many times?
It's a sad boy album, and I've listened to it a lot. What's funny is, Jason, is usually we start these podcasts with a random conversation, and we let the people come in and talk. And I said, I'm excited to talk about it today. And it wasn't that. It was this one, Jason. And this is our topic. So for new people, we like to talk to let our live crowd fill in. We pick random topics. More often than not, it's whatever's on my brain. And this is what's been on my brain for 5 days. And I want to make it apparent for the people in the comments. I am only up to this episode. But how does this Krasnys guy meet Daenerys Targaryen? And she just walks up and goes, "Hey, I want your army." And he's like, "Okay, I'll trade you." And she says, "I'll give you my dragon." And he doesn't in his brain think about the possible outcome that he's going to give this girl he never met before 8,000 soldiers. And she just wouldn't turn around and use it against him and take his dragon back. I'm very confused. What a scene, though. What a scene.
You know, it's funny. I haven't seen Game of Thrones in so long that when you reference them in my text messages, I don't remember. I remember certain episodes by their names, like Hard Home, Battle of the Bastards. I remember those like clearly. But when you sent me that one, I felt ashamed that I had to go run to my phone and look, and I had to like Google the episode, and I was like, oh yeah, now I remember. And it's so crazy that you're still there's so much for you to see.
Yeah.
That you still haven't seen yet. Dude. And oh my goodness.
I've watched, so if I'm on season 3, episode 4, that means I've watched 24 episodes of this. And how many times this show has already like ripped my heart out and then put it back in just to rip it out again is insane. And I'm just like it's really to a point where I try not to get attached to the character. I think that's why I like Littlefinger so much, is I'm getting attached to him because I know he's very problematic. So it won't hurt me as much whenever he dies, because I'm just assuming everybody dies in this show at some point. I just assume everybody dies. Well, I don't know if he dies yet, but I just assume everybody I love dies.
It's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look through the show, because then you won't feel as bad. But more often than not, what you've been noticing is that evil usually wins. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah,
but
no spoilers.
Don't count them out. Don't count them out.
It's electric, man. Watching this show, 8 years after it was super like popular, when these episodes happen, and me just still ducking the spoilers when people talk about the most popular TV show of all time. It's pretty fun 8 years after the fact.
Yeah, I was actually late to the party as well. I binge watched the first 3 seasons, I want to say, in about 2 days. And after that, I was caught up and I watched everyone live with everyone else. So, but yeah, man.
What a wild show. Yes, honestly, shame on 20-year-old Andrew for not watching it. Dylan, you need to go watch it now. Honestly, if you stop watching us right now just to go watch Game of Thrones, I'm not going to complain about it.
I wouldn't either.
But anyways, so new episodes for Red Option Podcast. I think we've given enough time to fill in. Jason, I texted you today and I said, hey, we don't have anything really to talk about today unless we want to talk about Garoppolo versus Lance for the 47th time. So why don't you bring a topic to the table? I'll bring a topic to the table. We'll talk about our topics. That'll be the show. And we both ended up texting each other that, hey, I want to talk about this 49ers jersey. And we're going to have different conversations about different Niner jerseys here. But then the news came out later today that the NFL is allowing helmets back, because like the rule doesn't really affect the Niners unless they want to go to their silver helmets. But for teams like the Buccaneers, who have the famous creamsicles and oh man, there's a million. The Broncos with their orange helmets, they can wear those throwbacks now. And so now I'm convinced the NFL has tapped our phones and they've seen every conversation we've ever had. But Jason, today's episode, we're going to talk about 49ers uniforms. And I'm going to start with my topic because I think your topic's going to be a little spicier. People need to stop trying to replace the current uniforms. It hurts. These uniforms are perfect. These uniforms are amazing. I'm a firm believer that the greatest uniform in NFL history is the 1980s 49ers jerseys with the throwback logo, all the stuff.
The 3 stripes.
The 3 stripes, the red, all the perfect shading of red, the gold. I'm a firm believer that those are the best uniforms. So when the Niners went to the famous 94 jerseys, that's fine. It's pretty much the same jersey. They go to those 2000 jerseys and it was just very different. So they finally go back to the look. It's the current jersey is a current day version of the 80 jersey. And that's what I like about them. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter trying to replace them with the 94 jersey. And I have nothing wrong with that, actually. I'm cool with it. But why don't we make the 94 jersey just a special jersey? Make it, because what do you get? You get 2 alternate uniform games per season, right?
I think so. And it's crazy because in 94, the 49ers had to go to the NFL to have those be the permanent jerseys for the season. And they had to do something extra because I think the one game that they didn't wear it was the game that the Eagles beat the 49ers like 41-7 or 8. Or like it was really bad, honestly. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it's just pretty funny. I think they won the first week in Detroit with the regular jersey, or they wore the white one, and then they went back home with the Philly game, and I think they had the regular jerseys on. And I think if it wasn't the game after, it was very shortly after that. The 49ers just switched to it the whole season with the 75 patch. Don't know what that had to do with anything, but I know that there's rules, so that's the best I could come up with, I think, at this point.
Yeah, you see that in baseball every so often where a team gets hot with one uniform. Not football so much. I like it. But I see people really excited because there's the rumors that are loosely confirmed at this point that the red 94 uniforms are coming back. And now people want the 94 jerseys as the permanent jerseys. Let me meet you in the middle here, people who want the 94 jersey. Why don't we make the 94 jersey a special uniform and only wear them in the biggest, most important games of the season just so they have that oomph, that oomph to it? I know that's a great sound to make on a podcast, but like that's kind of what they are now is the Niners murdered the Panthers, in 2019, murdered them. And you know what the one thing I remember about that game is? They wore those jerseys.
And Gerald McCoy wanted all the smoke?
Yeah, they wore those jerseys. The same thing with the Seahawks. Obviously, the Seahawks game, very famous. We're going to remember the rest of our life, that Week 17 Seahawks game. I remember that jersey is imprinted in my brain. So if we're going to reintroduce the 90s uniform or the 94 uniforms, just make them like biggest home game, biggest road game of the season. Boom. In Seattle, wear the whites, things like that. I think that's a good compromise.
I agree with you. I think that either way, I don't think that it's going to be a full-on jersey change to the 94 ones, but I do agree with you that they have to be very selective with when they use them, what games. Home opener, that makes a lot of sense. That would be really cool against the Packers or, maybe the Colts game. But any sort of big game at the end of the, Sunday night, Thursday night game, those games, yeah, I agree with you. And you know what? I wholeheartedly agree with you as far as keeping the jerseys the way they are and just using the 94 jerseys on special occasions.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more fun. I think part of the reason those jerseys are so special is we just haven't seen them in a while. And if the Niners just kind of run them into the ground, like some people want them to, and make it the permanent one, they're going to lose their lust a little bit. And people are going to be like, why don't we go back to the jerseys we're wearing now? Things like that. And it's something that, like, even I love you, Brad. Brad, if you're watching, Brad Graham, big fan. He's been pushing for these like chrome helmets with the chrome face mask. And it's just like, man, the Niners look is just, it's simple. And I think that's part of what makes it work is there's not too much to it. I think the gold is perfect. Brad, please stop pushing the chrome.
And for anyone out there, does anyone else remember the time where the 49ers showed their new logo and the public outcry was so bad and they just stopped?
I have another take on that. That logo actually isn't bad.
It's really bad, Andrew.
If it's okay, let me word it. If it's an alternate, I'm okay with it. Don't slap it on the helmet. Like it's fine. It's fine. It's just like a standalone alternate logo. Just don't put it on the helmet. That's my issue.
What's funny? 49er fans, we've been changing everything for years. Show us a logo we don't like. Oh, we hate it. Change it. Mac Jones at 3. Oh, we hate it. Don't do it. So apparently we run the 49ers almost like how Lambeau Field and Green Bay, that whole town runs the Packers. We get to do whatever we want.
I would pay $200 for a piece of paper that said I own the 49ers.
$200. That's most.
Wasn't that the Packers price?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
So I would pay $200 for a ceremonial piece of paper that says Andrew Pasquini is part owner of the San Francisco 49ers.
Just real quick, while we stay on the jerseys, and I don't want to get too off topic. So what would Andrew Pasquini do when he goes to the game and says, I'm part owner, I need to be up in the owner's box? So you try to just walk through like...
I'm just... Honestly, if I was able to somehow get through by saying I'm part owner of the 49ers, I wouldn't even try and cause any chaos. I would just try and find Jed York's like Bud Light seltzer area and just drink those. I think that's what I would do as part owner of the Niners. I would probably just make me part owner and like the Bud Light seltzer guy.
You'd be the silent partner, but the silent but drunk partner.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So what I do as the Niners owner, I don't have feedback on any like the positions or like the players we're going to sign. I don't even have control over like, what jerseys the Niners. But as part owner of the 49ers, of the 49ers, you see those black cherry Bud Light seltzers? I picked the flavor this week, and that's what I would do as Niners owner.
I would text you like, "What are you doing? Why haven't you gone after this guy?" I'd be like, "Dude, I don't care about any of that, honestly."
So anyway, that's what I would do if I spent $200 to be a fake owner of the 49ers. But yeah, so back to the jersey thing. Since that might have been our best, like just way going off the tracks there. That might have been the best one we've done.
Hey, it could be worse. We could be arguing the same points that everyone has been regurgitating about Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo with no new information on June 24th. So
hey man,
this is premium content right here.
We try and keep it fresh. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of tampering with the Niners uniforms. I think as they are, they're perfect. I'm totally fine because like Josh Eccles, great friend in the comments, like the black uniforms, the worst thing they've ever done with the jersey.
Wow,
the worst thing.
Jordan Elliott is punching the air here with you saying that.
Like people are like, I don't like the Niners helmet because gray face mask. Like they don't have gray in their color scheme. They don't have black. Their official colors are red, gold, and white. They just have the black on the logo
border.
Yeah, the black border logo. That's the only black in the 49ers logo. That's the only thing in their color scheme. They don't use it other than the black shadow drop. The black uniforms were too much. And it was really a trend at that point where teams who didn't wear black just were like, we have black uniforms now. And usually I like black uniform. All black uniforms are great. Like the Falcons, the current ones they have, they're great. But Niner-wise, man, just keep it simple. Red, gold, white. It's a very good color scheme. Let's just keep it.
One other thing, if the NFL is allowing alternate helmets, then the 49ers should go back to those 94 helmets for that game as well. And I think that was really the cool part. You don't remember the newer helmets have the black border. The older helmets from 94 is just the traditional SF with it's red. So they would have to wear those with just those 94 throwbacks.
That's the logo they already wear with the 94 because they don't change the helmet. They did it last year. So yeah, like as I said, I think people are getting a little confused with the rule that like the NFL didn't just allow throwbacks again. It comes down to the shell of the helmet. The only way this could affect the 49ers and their throwbacks is, as I kind of jokingly said earlier, if they want to wear a silver helmet throwback jersey, they can do that now. You're allowed. I guess the best example is the Packers throwback jerseys. You know, the blue ones with the circle in the middle. Yeah. Those used to have like a brown helmet when the NFL didn't have the rule, but then the NFL made the rule that you can only use one shell. And now the Packers wear that jersey with the circle with their yellow helmet with just the logo removed. So, like, as I said, it opens up for teams like the Buccaneers who have the white helmet throwback, the Broncos who have the orange helmet throwback. Niners wise, it probably won't hurt or won't change.
Makes sense. I misremembered that part, but yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
Well, no, it's exciting though because it does open possibilities for a lot of other throwbacks. So like it's cool. Like I would pop if the Niners wore silver helmets one week. I think it'd be cool.
Well, all right. So, I mean, in with other teams, and I don't want to bring it up, they showed the old Seahawks jerseys. Remember, those helmets were gray. That would be dope. The creamsicle with the old Tampa Bay Bucks logo, that would be dope. There's plenty of other teams that have throwbacks that require a different helmet. So, like, it always kind of and you know what's funny? I didn't notice this until today when the rule came out. But like when the Dolphins used to wear their early like throwbacks from like the 80s, they would have the normal Dolphins helmet, and that always bothered me because it didn't make sense. Like and now this actually can change all those stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think this is a very good league-wide change, and I don't think it comes into effect until 2022, so it's not going to affect this year.
Oh, so it won't be this year.
Yeah, but like as I said, it just opens up a lot, and it's cool to see teams wear different jerseys every so. Like the Broncos can go back to their vertical stripe brown and yellow socks. It's pretty cool. I'm excited. Yeah. But Jason, I just defended the Niners' current day uniforms. I think you want to defend an older uniform that people seem to like to slander, me included. So we'll see where this goes.
So can I ask a question? And I'm just throwing it out into the air. I guess I will be asking Andrew, and whoever in the comments will jump in. Why do the early 2000 49ers jerseys get so much hate? And I don't really understand it. And I'm talking about the years when Jeff Garcia, Terrell Owens, I'm talking about specifically the year that they beat the Giants with the comeback, that jersey. What is the big deal? Why does everyone dislike it so much? I think that would be another dope alternate jersey. I'm talking Eric Johnson. I'm talking white Eric Johnson jersey. You can see the 82 right now in your mind as a 49er fan. What specifically is wrong with that uniform?
So my personal issue is they changed the colors a little bit. It's a darker red. And for me, I like the 80s red better than the darker red. There's nothing wrong with these jerseys. There's nothing wrong with them, I think, at all. I don't like the red face mask either, but everything's just a little like it's a touch darker. And I don't know, it throws me off. And you know what? People probably the biggest issue with these jerseys is
the pants.
Not even the pants, but more so the teams that were putting these uniforms. They were good once with these uniforms. Like I think, like I know Jeff Garcia and all them played for these teams. But as somebody who was born in 1992, you're older than me. We know this.
It's a lot.
You think of like Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice and Jeff Garcia in these uniforms. I was like 8 at that time, so like I have vague memories. So when I think of these uniforms, I'm thinking of the Sean Hill years and the JT O'Sullivan years. And so I think that might be what some of it is too, is they just never really, they just never felt like a good team in those uniforms to me. So I think that's my issue with them too.
That's fine. I hear people complaining about the black borders on the outline, but that's what you like about the 94 jerseys. I think that the jersey itself is a little bit more crimson, if that makes any sense. Like the jersey seems darker. I don't know if that makes sense.
Like a garnet.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on the color. I don't know the palette that well to be able to say. Do
you want me to pull up color codes?
Yeah, please, magenta, something like that.
We're going to pull up color codes.
It just looks a little bit darker. And for me, I love the borders, and I actually like the gold pants with it because I thought it made it pop a little bit more. So I didn't really have an issue with it. And again, when this was happening in 2000, I was in my teenage years. So, did I have the best style sense at that time? No, probably not. Do I today? Probably not. But at that time, I didn't have any issue with it. I used to have a Jeff Garcia. I used to have a Terrell Owens jersey that I used to wear to school, a lot in New Jersey, especially after the 49ers. When the 49ers beat the Giants in that jersey, I got thrown out of first period because I walked in with my Jeff Garcia jersey late, and I threw it over the American flag. Yeah, no. And I was just like, and they were just like, she was like, go to the office. I was like, I don't care. Yeah, I was like, I don't care. I took it down and I went back or whatever. But you have to understand, I'm in Giants country. I'm surrounded by Giants fans. So, but yeah, that's how I used to get down back then. After that comeback happened, yeah, you could totally picture me doing that. I can
picture Jason just with like the same features as today, just a little shorter with a beard as like a 15-year-old doing that and just getting kicked out. I love it.
Yeah. They were like, go to the office. I was like, they were like, what did you do? I was like, I threw this over the American flag. Well, we're gonna call your mom. I was like, what are you gonna do, man? Let's get it.
What are you gonna do? So I don't know if I can't find the color codes of the previous jerseys, but I do think it's a very big coincidence. Do you know what the official names are for the red and gold?
Scarlet?
No, so the red, this is such a big coincidence, Jason. The red is called 49ers red, and the gold is called 49ers gold.
Man,
wild that they just happened to pick the color that had their team name in it.
That actually 6'8", 15-year-old Jason Aponte. Get out of here, Josh. No, that actually now clears things up because now when people say what color red is that, it's 49er red and it's 49er gold. Man,
does this imply that the shade of red and gold that the Niners use wasn't like founded until they went to this color scheme? And they're like, well, nobody else used this red ever before. We're making it 49ers red. Man, you know how cool it would be if it was called like Gold Rush Gold and like make it fun. Gold Rush Gold. GRG.
So, GRG.
GRG. That's the hashtag. Like, Gold Rush Gold. There we go. Boom.
I guess when they were giving colors names out, everybody was out back, using the bathroom.
I actually like to pretend that these had like official color names, and Jed York just opened the checkbook to like Crayola and was like, how many zeros do I need to add to make these shades 49ers red and 49ers gold? Crayola's like, what?
What?
Nobody offers us money for this. What?
I'll tell you this. We have done some really great episodes here on this podcast. We have given you a lot of information. I don't know if there's going to be a more info-packed episode than this right here. Honestly, man, I don't know if we're ever going to top this at this point.
Well, man, see, like, and here's the thing, man. Like, and you mentioned it earlier. Like, as much as I'm sure people want to hear us talk about it and all that. There's only so many, we will. We 100% will when it gets closer. But there's only so many ways we can talk about the quarterback position, and we had the whole draft process to talk about it. And the 2 weeks after, we're just trying to do a little different things here and there, because but if we're talking about Garoppolo and Trey Lance right now, by the time the season starts, you guys are going to be real tired of us. So we're trying to keep it fresh. And hey, you know what? If you guys have any ideas of something you want to see us talk about, see how I'm doing this, Jason?
Nice.
Send us a tweet. If you say, hey, this is a topic we want you to talk about, it doesn't even have to be about the current team like we're doing right now. Bring it, Jason. We're excited because I mean, there's going to be a point in July where we're going to flip the switch and we're going to be talking very serious 2021 49ers stuff. We're just kind of in purgatory right now.
Can I shift gears a little bit to something that is on brand for our podcast? Not exactly 49ers, but it is something that came out yesterday. Chris Sims' quarterback rankings are out, and I just want to get Andrew Pasquini's take on Taysom Hill being above Jameis Winston, literally the spot above him in these quarterback rankings. Andrew, go.
I get it. The Jameis Winston brand is not as high as it used to be. It's all like the thing is with those rankings and same thing with like power rankings for all sports, because people care about power rankings a lot, is sometimes you got to do things to get people to talk. You know what I mean? And Chris Sims keeps it very straightforward at the top. I think a lot of that. Actually, I didn't even read the whole list, but I'm assuming it's straightforward because the only complaint I saw was why is Taysom Hill higher than Jason Winston?
That was my complaint, just to be a jerk, and because everybody else was complaining about like the semantics of guys in the same tier.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just funny to bring that up.
But I guess it makes sense because I guess Hill does more. I don't know. I'm just trying to justify because I think we haven't seen what full LASIK Jameis can do. You know, we got a taste of it in the playoffs. I think if we're just stripping it down, minimum one postseason pass attempt, Jameis Winston has the highest passer rating in NFL postseason history. He's tied with a bunch of other people. Don't need to talk about those other people. But yeah, I mean, I understand it because the last time we saw Jameis Winston, he was the first 30-30 quarterback and things like that. And there is an idea that Sean Payton might trust Taysom Hill a little more, but Jameis, it's Jameis's job to lose. Like this is a real, like, as much as people in 49ers Twitter want to talk about like this is Jimmy Garoppolo's, you know, spot to lose. Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback, whether he loses it in practice or not. He's going to be the starting quarterback week 1 if he's on the roster. This is truly a situation of Jameis Winston can lose this battle. And if he loses this battle to Taysom Hill, I don't think Jameis is going to be in the NFL again. Like I just think that I think that's very hard to recover from.
Yeah.
Because I think he was, I mean, the Saints just kind of picked him up. He wasn't a hot commodity. Nobody was like pushing for him. And he had to settle for that, you know, that backup role with the Saints. Nobody was like, Jameis Winston's our guy. If he ends up losing this quarterback battle to Taysom Hill, the brand won't be very strong at that point.
All right. And I agree with you. And there's no way in my mind that I could ever have Taysom Hill over Jameis Winston. But I'm going to throw a little curveball at you. And we're going to make this 49ers related.
Yes, let's do it.
You know, we've had our jersey discussion. I think that was good. But I think this is a good discussion as well. Jimmy Garoppolo on this list is 21. Sandwiched in between Ben Roethlisberger right behind him at 22 and Cam Newton at 20 with Sam Darnold at 19.
Oof.
Thoughts? Yeah, okay. Thoughts?
Oof.
Disagreements?
Well, so as I said, listen, I'm not going to yell at him for being wrong or right, because this is like the thing is with these lists is this is Chris Sims' opinion.
Yep.
So like don't get mad at him. This is just what he thinks.
Yep. But it's a good discussion point.
I think there is some quarterbacks. Oh man, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna say fair. 21 feels right, I guess. Maybe there's a few that are behind him that I would put forward and a few in front of him. I don't know if Cam Newton's particularly better, but he didn't have the best showing last year, and that's probably the heaviest thing. The Sam Darnold one is what's really confusing to me. If we're playing the game of like, okay, Garoppolo's down at 21, he can't stay healthy. Darnold, obviously not to that extent, but Darnold hasn't had much health luck. And when they're both on the field, I think Garoppolo's been the better quarterback. So like that's one. I don't know how you could put Joe Burrow above him because he played only a very small sample size before. Like if last year was Burrow's second year, sure, put him ahead. But like, come on, he's in year 2 after what, a 6-game season. So that
Jimmy,
one's
basically.
a little rough. I'm not doubting that Joe Burrow's not going to make the jump over Jimmy Garoppolo this year. But I do believe that right now it's a little premature. Yes, Florida State is a basketball school, Ben. We talked about it last week. I don't know why that came off so angry. I just didn't expect to read that sentence. Yes, it is a basketball school. We said that last week. That sounds a little more positive. But yeah, I think the number's right. I think he's around the correct people if we're doing this whole tier thing. He's around the right people, so I don't think that's too crazy. I'm not going to try and say he's a top 15 quarterback because I don't think he is. But there's also nothing wrong with being a top 21 quarterback if you're on a good enough team because he made that work in 2019.
Can I fire off a hot take?
Yeah, give me all the hot takes.
Has there ever been a quarterback, not only in 49ers history, in the NFL ever, that has gotten more credit for one healthy season in his entire career?
Trying to think.
No.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
As bad as Ben Roethlisberger was last year, Jimmy Garoppolo is ahead of him. Why? Because of 2019? Even if that's true, I just can't get there. I can't get there because of 2019, right? So when people tell me with a straight face, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr, how?
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr have played many more games and done it for years. Why does one person get 1 year of so much credit And I'm not trying to talk crazy about Jimmy Garoppolo. It's just an interesting case study because I've noticed it. Oh, it's better than Ryan Tannehill. It's better than this guy. How? Those guys have played multiple years in this league and have produced however they produced, whether you want to say it's elite, but they played. And Jimmy Garoppolo, for me, will he ascend to being a top 15 quarterback? Whatever, yeah, cool, he could, and it's in the range of outcomes. But don't tell me that you know that that's going to happen based off 1 year from 2019. That's what's weird to me, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard because do we really know how good Jimmy Garoppolo is? 2019 was his peak. Now the question is there a world of possibility where 2019 is what great Jimmy Garoppolo is, and there's still a peak to come? We don't know that. There's a world where that exists, but we don't know that because he hasn't been on the field long enough.
Right.
And I think you make a very valuable point there. Yeah.
It's the certainty of how people talk to you about it, right? Like there is a world where, let's just say, Garoppolo plays 17 games and so does Cousins, that he outperforms Cousins.
Yes.
There's a world that happens.
Absolutely.
But how can you say that with such certainty and like with your chest poked out? How do you believe that? I don't know if I believe that because there's not a track record to suggest that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah, and it's hard because it's a tough thing to do because 2019 was like objectively a good year for Jimmy Garoppolo, and it still feels recent enough to be like, okay, that's what he can be. And that's only if you isolate the last 3 years, right? If you just look at it from 2019, 2020, 2021, you could say, yeah, you know what? He might have been injured a lot last year, but like 2019 was so good that, he's here. But if you just change the scale by one more year, now you're looking at it completely differently because now you're looking at it, well, two of the last 3 years, he hasn't been healthy. How can you put him here? So like it's kind of, it depends on what Sims was looking at. Was he looking at a recent sample size like 2 years, or did he push it back to 3 years and things like that? So that's what it could be too, is maybe he just was like, okay, we're going to just look at 2019 to 2020. This is how this list is going to be organized, because you can't just make this list looking at last year, because if you're making this list looking at last year, Jimmy Garoppolo is not 21.
And like I said, as bad as Ben was, Ryan Fitzpatrick played better than he did last year, and he's lower on this list. And Ryan Fitzpatrick has his ups and downs, but he's played a ton of years. It's strange to me that the 1 year, the 1 year has taken control of the conversation. And that's look, again, is there a world where Jimmy Garoppolo this year ascends to whatever it is that people are saying? Yes, it's in the range of outcomes. I just don't understand how you can speak in absolutes with a guy who's only played one full season and has been injured or not played because he was a backup in so many other years. Like you say confidently that you think that can happen. I'm not confident in it. Can it happen? Yeah. And maybe there is another piece of Garoppolo that we haven't seen yet. Maybe there is another level to unlock. It's always a possibility. But how can you certainly tell me that that's going to happen? How can you say, I know for a fact that he's better than guys who have done it in this league for longer?
Yeah.
And that's the problem I have. I'm big on what I know and not what I can predict, because I suck at predicting things.
And if you question Jason sucking at predicting things, go back to our previous episodes where we predicted the scores of the Niners games. And we had a couple weeks in a row where we would be like, yeah, the Niners would lose this week.
Niners win.
The Niners won. So yeah, so yeah, we suck at predicting things. And like, what's interesting to me on this list too is like, and now we're really nitpicking this list if we're talking in the mid-20s, but
yeah,
how is Taysom Hill better than Daniel Jones?
I don't get that part either. And Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, like Mac Jones at 30 and Trey Lance at 38 and Justin Fields at 30. I always feel so bad for the 40th quarterback on this list because it's usually like Case Keenum, which is it is Case Keenum this time, but like I feel bad.
Kellen Mond?
Oh my God, Kellen Mond is above. We should.
So here's the thing. So here's the thing. All right. So look. So I'm glad that we actually brought this up because it's extended our conversation. We probably would have ended the jersey debate a little bit earlier, but here's my thing. I disagreed with his quarterback rookie rankings, but he's sticking to that. So I give him credit for that. If he believed that Kellen Mond was better than those guys, then how can he not rank them now ahead of him? It's the same thing with us, right? With us. Yeah, we want Justin Fields. We believe Justin Fields is the pick. But now it would be foolish of us to look back and say, yeah, now, whatever, it's Trey and Justin Fields is going to be good. No, we didn't pound our chest for that many months telling you that Justin Fields is that good to now turn back on it. And that doesn't mean that we want him to do better than Trey. None of that. It's just you do have to kind of stick to what you've been saying. And I will give Chris Sims credit on that. He didn't flip-flop or waffle, at least on that.
It feels weird. How can you put Mac Jones ahead of Jared Goff without Mac Jones playing us? Like, that's my thing. Like, leave the rookies off this list because I just think, like, you can't predict what they are yet. You absolutely can't predict what they are yet. All you have is a few practice throws to go off of. And so if you're going to make these lists, don't put Trevor Lawrence over Jared Goff and Teddy Bridgewater just on the idea of Trevor Lawrence can be that. Because if Trevor Lawrence is going to hit, he's going to be a hell of a lot higher than the 28th best quarterback in the NFL. Like, let's be real. If Trevor Lawrence is what we think he is, there's going to be conversation that he's a top 15 quarterback already, just like we've seen with Justin Herbert, who's ranked 11th conveniently.
Yes.
So, like, there's no way that Trevor Lawrence, we're going to sit here and say Trevor Lawrence is the 28th best quarterback because it's hard for me to include the rookies into this. I guess that's my biggest gripe on this because I have a hard time saying with a straight face, who would you rather have in 2021, Zach Wilson or Jared Goff? And, like, yeah, Zach Wilson could end up being a very good NFL player. He could, but, like, I know what Jared Goff is. I'm a little more comfortable taking more what I know than what I don't, at least on these lists. And like, This is like, honestly, the thing is with this list, this is what Chris Sims wanted with this list is people like us to talk about, which is fine because I think it's a very interesting conversation to have. I just don't like the ones where it's like, the PFF like branded get PFF trending. It was the Randy Moss or no, Tyreek Hill is better than Randy Moss. And there was another one
threat of all time.
Oh, and then the other one was the best play callers and leaving Shanahan off the list. And like those ones are just like, you're just trying to get PFF to trend because I think the top 10 here probably pretty right. Safe switching a few names. Maybe Brady's a little lower, but that's all people are going to want to argue on this is like the top 10, top 15. And his top 10, top 15, it's none of it's egregiously bad.
No, I mean, and we don't really have to get into all of that.
Yeah.
It was just a good discussion point because Garoppolo's in, I feel like, a tier where a lot of these guys are interchangeable, but that's a discussion for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But at least this was a Garoppolo discussion that didn't have to do with something that was regurgitated about Lance, So I feel like that was a good shift, and I think that we kind of came up with that on the fly as well too. That's the best part. Yeah, beautiful. So you kind of just got that organically from us because we never discussed that we were going to talk about this at all.
Perfect. So next week, as we said, it's going to be a couple random topic episodes for the next couple weeks. We're going to pick up in July. Once camps really get going and we start talking about, hey, there's a preseason game on Sunday. That's exciting. That's when we're probably going to get pretty serious here and we're going to get back into what you're used to seeing from us in the regular season. 2 shows. Currently, the plan we've had loosely since the end of the season is the 2 shows during the season. One's going to be Monday, one's going to be Friday. The Monday show is going to be reviewing the game that just happened, and the Friday game is going to be the preview of the game coming up. That's our current plans. So, Jason, do you have anything you want to add before we get out of here? Any housekeeping stuff?
No, not at all. And I mean, if you guys have been wondering where we've been, I just feel like with us, we didn't want to be regurgitating a lot of the same things that are out there right now because there's not really much to talk about. We found out that Tom Brady was talking about Ryan Tannehill. He wasn't talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, so you guys can stop talking about that. And you guys can stop arguing about a quarterback competition that hasn't even begun yet and who should be what. I mean, it's just there's other things on this team to talk about, I feel like. And I think that's why we kind of took our time with the episode. And it would be wrong to bombard you with the same sort of stuff over and over. Not that I'm knocking anybody who is doing that. It's tiring to talk about the same thing over and over when the same points are the same points that have been made for months and months. There's nothing, you can't add anything new to this conversation yet because there's nothing new to add to the conversation.
Croc told us to wait. If Croc says wait, we are holding this podcast.
Yeah, Croc. So Albright was talking about, it wasn't Jimmy for sure. He knew that. And he said, in a tweet that he was talking about TH 17.
RH
and
17.
It was RH, whatever. TH, whatever, RH. But yeah, it was because Brady was shocked that the Titans weren't in on him at all, even though they've already paid a quarterback to run their efficient offense and everything. But yeah, Croc, it was about Tannehill, bro.
It was about Tannehill. That's and it never felt like Garoppolo to me. I understand the thought of it, but I don't think and then again, I don't know Tom Brady, but Tom Brady doesn't feel like a guy who would go on a TV show and say something, especially the wording he chose, about his backup for 3 years. That kind of feels a little weird to call him a motherfucker. I didn't want to say too loud.
But the thing is, they're friends though. Like, look, they weren't friends. They may not have been friends when it was quarterback competition. But you don't invite somebody who's not your quarterback competition anymore to the Kentucky Derby and hang out with him. So I don't know if they're friends, but they're good. It never felt like that was him. I always felt like that was 49er fans who were going to jump all over that and they were going to run with it. So it was kind of good that Albright dropped that little nugget off in a tweet. So 49er fans could chill out. He definitely wasn't talking about the Niners.
What's funny is too is like a Bears podcast probably had this conversation. Like, was it us? Was it us? Like,
that was the only other one. Trubisky was the one I was thinking.
I had a friend who was a Raider fan who's like, I think he's talking about the Raiders, and so like it's kind of like it's very, very fun. It was an exciting time. Jason, we're going to get out of here. If you find yourself stressing out too much about the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo situation here on the day of the Lord, June 24th, 2021, there's a baseball team that's 22 games over 500 that plays in the Bay Area as well. Go watch them and turn your brain off. Stop thinking about the 49ers so much. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners and Yankees. Bye.
Every time Gary